All right, well, welcome everybody. Can you hear okay? And all right, so as I said before, I'm Lou, and welcome to the 2017 Environmental Stewardship Awards. I'm going to read some of this, and I apologize, I can't quite keep it all. I don't have it all memorized yet. We're excited to present Larimer County's Environmental Stewardship Awards for 2017. It's our 21st year for doing these awards, and the commissioners present these awards each year to honor the stewardship efforts of county residents, businesses, and organizations. And here's a short background of the award. It's begun in 1995. We've presented 74 awards to date, and we've got 8 more coming this afternoon, so we're excited about that. Once again, we received inspirational nominations. Each of us has come away with an appreciation for the commitment to environmental stewardship in Larimer County. The county's Environmental and Science Advisory Board reviews the nominations and makes recommendations to the Board of County Commissioners, and then we determine the winners. So, the winners for the awards this year, the first one up, and they're not in any particular order except for one of them, but not this one, is the Elkhorn Creek Forest Health Initiative Wildfire Risk Mitigation in the Elkhorn Creek. So come on up if you guys are part of that. So the Elkhorn Creek Forest Health Initiative was formed in 2015 by several partners, including the Coalition for the Poudre River Watershed, Larimer County Conservation Corps, Wildlands Restoration Volunteers, and the Nature Conservancy. And I got a bunch of initials here, but I'm not going to tell you those. Maybe it would be easier if I did because I'd have less to read. The goal of the initiative was to reduce the risk of high-severity wildfire and lessen the potential for post-fire impacts to Elkhorn Creek, a tributary to the Poudre River. The project started out as a pilot study to test the effectiveness of integrating volunteer and professional sawyers to implement forest fuel reduction work. The pilot study took place at the Ben Delator Scout Ranch. It's one of Tom's favorite places. He goes there with his kids all the time. Within the Elkhorn Creek sub-watershed, Red Feather Lakes area. At 3,200 acres in size, the Scout Ranch is one of the larger private land holdings within the Cache-la-Poudre watershed and provides great opportunity for forest restoration and fuels reduction treatments. The Scout Ranch was identified as a high-priority site for forest management based on high forest density and fuel loads, as well as its proximity to the Cache-la-Poudre River. The forest management techniques used by the Elkhorn Creek partners are similar to those used by the Forest Service on neighboring lands, thereby broadening overall treatment footprint. Both volunteer and professional sawyer crews have been focused on removing trees to create a more open forest condition similar to that which historically existed in the watershed prior to fire exclusion. This kind of open forest structure is less likely to experience catastrophic fire conditions when fire strikes the area. So once again, let's give a round of applause.
I know there's several recipients today, so I'll be really quick. I just wanted to say thank you to the advisory board and the Scout Ranch for nominating our team for this award. We're really excited to be nominated and to be recognized this way. This project started as a really small idea to just try training a couple volunteers on a few acres, and it grew really quickly through the dedication of all the partners that Commissioner Gator has already mentioned. I really want to thank the partners, Nature Conservancy, Larimer County Conservation Corps, and Wildlands Restoration Volunteers who came along this project with us. Their dedication and commitment has made the project what it is, and we could not have gotten as far without this team and all of the talent that they bring together. And I'd also like to mention that as much as I'm the one standing up here taking the plaque and thanking all of our partners, this project also couldn't happen without the commitment of a lot of funders that have brought this project to where it is. We've received funding from State of California, from City of Fort Collins, from local philanthropic efforts like GOCO and Colorado Conservation Exchange. And in addition to that, some enormous support from local businesses, including Anheuser-Busch, Patagonia, and New Belgium. So I just think it's really inspiring that we have a community that's willing to get behind such an important issue for our watershed and our communities at large. So with that, I'll just say thank you again, and thank you to the team again.
We have to stay on script, you know. Doug Ryan was only just a wee boy when we first gave out these awards, weren't you? Just a little guy, short pants. Our second award today is going to go to the Estes Land Stewardship Association for their noxious weed management. Since 2000, yeah, come on down, folks. Where are you? Come on. Hey. So come on over here and join us. Since 2007, the Estes Land Stewardship Association has been promoting responsible land stewardship with volunteers through community-based noxious weed management in the Estes Park area, through publications, community outreach events, and public displays. Noxious weed management is a crucial part of land stewardship. Noxious weeds have the ability to displace native species, as well as reduce ecosystem function and decrease aesthetic, economic, and ecological value. Estes Park is a gateway to Rocky Mountain National Park and is a high-traffic corridor between counties, which makes it highly susceptible to weed introductions. The association's work prevents new introductions, manages existing weeds, and curtails weed dispersal in the park and its surrounding areas. Would you like to say a few words about your project? Come on, I'll pull the mic down for you. There you go. Maybe a little lower. There we go.
I just want to thank Eric Wendorf with the Larimer County with nominating Elsa for this award. We practice sustainability in our plant communities in Estes Park and the surrounding area. We try to provide wildlife habitat, aesthetic value, and helping resist encroachment of invasive weeds in Rocky Mountain National Park, Larimer County, town of Estes Park, and surrounding areas up to Pinewood Springs and Allens Park and the surrounding area. Thank you to our commissioners, Donnelly, Gator, and Johnson, for recognizing us as an important environmental group to aesthetically help Estes Park look decent for all of our visitors and our also our homeowners that stay up there either part-time or full-time. Thank you so much.
Well done.
It's my honor to invite Heather Knight from the Laramie Foothills Project to come up.
You gotta raise it back up.
So let me tell you a little bit about Heather. Heather came from Australia 26 years ago, and she's invested herself in the land of people in Laramie County ever since. Over the years, her conservation actions have transformed the land, transformed people's relationship with the land, and involved in many ways, but there are 3 projects she has been involved in. The Campbell Valley Erosion Control Project was the stabilization of 17 miles of side channels and 3 miles of the main stem of Campbell Creek. The Poudre River Ecology Project started in 2002. In response, she developed a science curriculum called PREP for the mountain schools in Livermore, Stove Prairie, and Red Feather Lakes, and that's now a part of the curriculum in all of those schools, and it provides young students the opportunity to think critically and experience real hands-on science. The final project is the North Fork Weed Co-op, which Heather brought together residents from the area to create the North Fork Weed Co-op, a citizen-based initiative to control invasive weeds in the area. And although the institution disbanded after 15 years, the impacts of the activity still echo through the ranches. So it's an indication of how long-standing and what an impact these projects have on our county. Congratulations, Heather.
I really want to sincerely thank the commissioners today and the members of the Laramie County Environmental and Stewardship Advisory Board. I also want to express that I'm really, humbled at this recognition, that I just represent a very large number of partners in our watershed who really care about the North Fork of the Poudre. Also, I was given this opportunity by the Nature Conservancy almost 25 years ago, and having that was the start of this. So there are people here today from TNC, so I appreciate that. Particularly, I want to recognize the major people, and many of you are here today. It was private landowners like Jim Reedhead, that many of you know well, and other owners at Phantom Canyon Ranches, Landowners Association, and ranch families in our watershed like the Roberts, the Seidells, and the Petersons that were our first people who came forward. And then we had so many other local, state, and federal agency partners. The City of Fort Collins Water Utility and the Department of Natural Resources, the County Department of Natural Resources, and the Rural Land Use Center were critical partners for us. From the state, the Poudre School District, and I see folks from Livermore School and Stoveprey and Red Feather here today also, who came together and created an exciting new way for students to learn. Colorado State University faculty and students adopted this work in the watershed, and the Center for Collaborative Conservation supported it, as well as Parks and Wildlife and Go Colorado. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Partners for Wildlife Program, and the Forest Service and NRCS were also critical partners for us and brought their technology and resources and people together. Wildlands Restoration Volunteers were also partners for us in the watershed, as was North Poudre Irrigation Company and businesses, as Jen mentioned, like New Belgium and Odell's. So we were very fortunate. And it was because people recognized that that watershed is a special place that everyone came together. So lastly, I have to thank the people that penned this nomination, Jim Gano and Bill Whitaker, and my dear husband, Rick Knight, who are all volunteers in this project. So thank you all.
Willing or unwilling? Next, I think. Okay. Next award is going to Robert Trout for the Loveland Initiative for Monarch Butterflies. Robert, come on up. Yeah. So, over the last 20 years, monarch butterfly habitat in Larimer County has dwindled. The milkweed flower is the primary plant on which monarch caterpillars live. Loss of habitat, including loss of milkweed, has reduced monarch butterflies by the tens of millions worldwide. In response, Bob has partnered with the Walt Clark Middle School in Loveland to grow milkweed plants for distribution and planting around northern Colorado. Bob is working with Larimer County Natural Resources to plant hundreds of milkweed plants within our county open spaces. He's also working with the Audubon Society, city staff, and many volunteers to plant milkweed along the river's edge in Loveland. Bob has increased awareness of the dwindling monarchs and has involved students, parents, volunteers, and the Audubon Society to help sustain our treasured monarch butterflies here in Larimer County. You have a handheld. Would it be easier for you, Bob?
Sure.
Here.
This one's pretty sensitive.
Oh, it even works.
It never works when we win.
Yeah. Count your blessings. I think staff cuts it off whenever we try.
Hi, I first want you to know how honored I am to have been selected for this award. However, Loveland Initiative for Monarch Butterflies, LIM, is quite honestly a result of the amazing efforts of many people who care about the monarch migration. In the fall of 2014, I founded LIM in an effort to increase the number of milkweed available for monarch butterflies. And after reading an article in NRDC's newsletter telling about a drop in the monarch Midwest population from 1 billion down to only 50 million during the past 10 years, I knew I had to do something. So, with the help of some pretty fine people, we started a program to plant milkweed seedlings in the Loveland area. We have done really well, planting about 700 seedlings in 2015, 1,700 plants in 2016, and over 2,000 this year. 2016, we have helped build a butterfly sanctuary garden at Walt Clark Middle School in Loveland to support all pollinator species. None of this success would have been possible if not for the efforts of following people. The number one person I need to mention is Mirinda Trout, my wife. She has stepped up to the plate on so many occasions. You know, she is still working and I am retired, but she helped plant seedlings, move dirt, watered, weeded, and kept up LIM's Facebook page. The only time she really complains is when I have monarch caterpillars. She calls them worm babies pooping in the kitchen. Then there is Sal Miller. He is the greenhouse instructor and engineering instructor at Walt Clark Middle School. We grow seedlings in the spring. He has embraced this project from day one and has used it as a learning opportunity for his students. It was his dream to have a butterfly sanctuary at Walt Clark Middle School, and now the sanctuary is a reality and in full bloom. Next, we have Karen Linder, an incredible friend, who has made herself available on so many occasions to help make sure the plants are doing well in the garden that Walt Clark has watered. She has stepped up to fill in all of those garden and greenhouse tasks that I no longer do by myself. We've had a number of wonderful Loveland residents who've worked very hard to make the milkweed planting a success. That includes Jean and Phil Whitaker, Judy Edgar, Janet Robbins, David Sleeper, and many others. Not to be outdone, Fort Collins stepped up to the plate, and Lim gained the volunteer support of Otter Products. The CEO of the company, Jim Parks, believes in giving back to the community, so he allows his employees paid time off to do volunteer work. Michelle Lucky put together a wonderful crew of volunteers that came and helped at the greenhouse when the Milkweed Project all started. She has brought Jordan, Jesse, and Jeff, who have done an outstanding job helping with the Butterfly Sanctuary as well as at the greenhouse. The Otterbox crew like to say that they won the volunteer lottery because they got to work outside, play in the dirt. We really won the lottery when they signed up on it and to help us. Also from Fort Collins, we have Jamie Weiss from Audubon Rockies. It's been a great help with the projects. I also need to thank Stan Shearer, the Thompson School District Superintendent, for seeing the value of this project to the STEM initiative and grant us the land for the Butterfly Sanctuary. A super thank you also goes out to Darlene Schuster, a very private person who allowed a total stranger to plant 700 milkweed seedlings on a perfectly situated property, and to Brad Fancher, owner of Loveland Ready Mix, for trusting me with the key, his property with a perfect small lake where we planted and started and watered 2,000 milkweed plants this year. There have been dozens of other students and people and businesses who've helped with our project the last 3 years. The honor of this award really goes to all those volunteer supporters and corporate sponsors who are true stewards of the Larimer County environment. Thank you.
Wonderful.
That's really a great project. It shows how many species are interconnected in ways you might not think of at first. And who doesn't love tearing those little milkweed things open as a kid? Remember doing that? Well, I still do that. I'd like to invite Robert Johnson from the Colorado Addicted Trail Building Society to come forward. So one thing we have in Larimer County is a lot of wonderful trails to go hiking on, and we couldn't have those trails without the volunteers like Robert Johnson and his group that do so much work for us. These guys volunteer every week, spring into late fall, building soft surface trails throughout northern Colorado. In Loveland, they single-handedly constructed the new system at Mariana Butte. Bob and other members of the CATS recruit their own volunteers, train them, and provide opportunities for community volunteers to work with them. They also provide trail crew leadership training to teach others the practices in leading trail teams. The CATS volunteer groups is all about environmental stewardship. They construct the trails by hand and feature natural landscaping features to construct the trail. They're masterful at using existing rocks and soils for trail construction. Thank you very much, Robert.
So I'm actually not Rob. I'm Brandon Smith. I'm the president of CATS. So we actually became a 501c3 just in December. So it's really exciting for us. We really want to thank our land agencies, especially the city of Loveland, who's actually allowed us to come in and build a full-on trail for them. It is actually 1.5 miles. The Mariana Butte, it took 2.5 years just because we were a small group, and it was over 1,800 hours of trail building work. So that's moving rocks, moving dirt, and everything like that. But our top priority is, making sure that environmental impact is as minimal as possible. If we can build these trails in areas that, we have a lot of people doing social trail and all this other stuff, that they're just roaming around, that's the best way we can try to minimize the impact, is to build that one specific spot that everyone can enjoy the views while at the same time not, going crazy. So, but special thanks again to City of Loveland. We also want to thank our other partners who have been very prominent in our growth as an organization, the City of Fort Collins, the county itself, the natural resources, and a few others that have been huge in our development. So.
I don't have too much more to add. I do want to thank Marilyn Hilgenberg, that's sitting right here in the audience. She's the director City of Loveland Open Spaces and Parks, and she's been a very pivotal person in our work out there at Mariana Butte, and would like to thank her for having confidence and trust in us and getting the job done. CATS was founded 10 years ago this month in Colorado Springs, and it was me and another guy came out of the woods late one night working on trail, and we went over to a bar and had some beer. So it was founded on beer and sweat equity, and still is today. We go and whack trail, and then we go out and have beer. So it's on the backbone, though, basically the volunteers that put in a lot of hard work. Everything we do is done with the labor of love, and we do it all manually. And our work is signature work. And I invite you down to this trail. Let's have a grand opening July 20th at 6 p.m. down there at the Mariana Butte Golf Course. Be a lot of fun down there. And walk the trail because we have a spiral staircase. We have a lot of rock work. It's just a beautiful trail. And thank you very much, everybody.
So if the Colorado Native Plant Society Elkhorn Weed Mitigation and Study Project would come up, we'd appreciate that. So the Elkhorn Weed Mitigation and Study Project is a cooperative effort between Colorado Native Plant Society, the Arapahoe Roosevelt National Forest, the Larimer County Weed District, and Shambhala Mountain Center. The project is designed to promote native plant conservation through education about the threats that noxious weeds pose. The 3-year project is multifaceted and centers on I'll let her say that, sulfur cinquefoil, a weed which is, the other name is even harder to read, a weed which is not yet widespread in Larimer County. You want to tell us a little bit more about your project?
Northern chapter of the Colorado Native Plant Society started this project because a lot of our members are crazy about wildflowers, but they're not as aware of what the threats are to those wildflowers. And they have not historically been active about the threat that noxious weeds pose. And so we wanted to have not just surveys, but we wanted to have a fun project where people could get involved, get dirty, and learn. And that's what we've been doing for the last few years. We have study plots out there where they're density plots. We get down on our hands and knees and count sulfur cinquefoil, Potentia recta. And we have one side of Elkhorn Creek, which is treated by the county with chemicals, and we do the manual pulling. And we compare the counts, the trends that are going on. And at the same time, we've done surveys of the area. We've added the total area that's been covered by, unfortunately, by sulfur cinquefoil hundreds of times over, I'm very sad to say, of what the original Forest Service and county thought was out there. So at least we've put a perimeter around it. And I think it's given all of the parties involved a lot more awareness of this particular weed that is not one of the more common weeds in Larimer County, a little more to chew on. And so I'm just here. I have to say that thank you to the commissioners. Thank you to even considering this project. Where I'm humbled here today is to be amongst the rest of you with these huge projects, with these multiple years and these incredible partners that you have in our little tiny project at Elkhorn Creek Trailhead. And that we were even selected just blows my mind. And I have to thank Shambhala Mountain Center for chipping in and being one of our partners. The Canyon Lakes Ranger District and the Larimer County Weed District, and of course all of the volunteers that have gotten on their hands and knees and counted those suckers and helped us document some trends out there and to learn and spread the word, because then they're change agents, spread the words about the threats that these noxious weeds, I know all of you know this, but our members do not necessarily know all of this. They're really into wildflower watching, and they have not been that aware of noxious weeds. And so that was really our big goal in this project. And it's been, I can't say it's necessarily been fun getting it down on your hands and knees. I can't say it's fun digging those boogers out of there. But it's been worthwhile, and I appreciate everything to be recognized. You know, like I said, I'm humbled to be amongst all of you guys today.
Our next award goes to Doug Schwartz from the Gray Rock Commons Natural Area. And accepting on behalf of Doug.
Is the HOA president.
Is great. So, congratulations. Let's give a round of applause. So, for over 20 years, Doug has pursued a City of Fort Collins Natural Area certification for the 5 acres of open space near Gray Rock Commons, the co-housing he has been managing. This natural area is used by 30 families that live at Gray Rock, as well as local neighbors and visitors and wildlife in the area. The project started in 1995 as Gray Rock Commons was being developed. Over time, Doug has kept records of plantings, the resources he used, and his stewardship outcomes. He's worked with local nurseries and wildland restoration groups who have provided him with advice and resources. Doug regularly photographs the outcomes of experiments in the natural area and consults with local experts such as entomologists, bird watchers, and wildlands restoration groups to plan and monitor the condition of the natural area. He monitors rainfall and reports this information to the National Weather Service. Doug submitted a 2017 Natural Area Certification request to the City of Fort Collins and is continuing to manage the area. So,
Thank you. My name is Lizette Mill. I am the HOA president of Gray Rock Commons Homeowners Association. And we have been among the primary beneficiaries of Doug's dedication and organizational skills in taking this agricultural land that was part of our land when we developed Gray Rock Commons and really restoring it to its natural beauty and glory.
want me to bring that thing?
Absolutely. So I just brought a few pictures to give people a sense for some of the results of Doug's hard work and energy. And we are among those who thank Doug for his efforts in really restoring this area and bringing neighbors to be involved in helping to do the plantings and to do the census and to really create a habitat for not only the plants but the many different wildlife that we now have near our community because of Doug's efforts. So I would like to thank Doug and to thank the county commissioners for recognizing Doug's work in this effort.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks. What are those things?
Those food for migrating birds. They're a type of little insect that the migrating birds
An
eat.
aphid or something.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
That's so nice.
It has a name that I cannot pronounce. So.
I understand that. So our last award today really is the one that's here on purpose, and he's last but not least, and in many ways has kind of set the bar. And so the Environmental and Science Advisory Board, there are many members from the ESAB. If you could just raise your hands. We've got a few of you in the audience here. These are the people who make the recommendations to the commissioners, and they help the commissioners with a lot of incredible recommendations. And Shelley Bayard-DeVolo, did I say that right? Go ahead and raise your hand over there, Shelley, is our staff liaison. However, the staff facilitator for the Environmental and Science Advisory Board from 2006 to 2016 was Doug Ryan. And so Doug, come on up. Let's give Doug a really big round of applause. Doug was well liked by just about anybody who's gotten to know him. Yeah, I'm not sure there's anybody that doesn't like Doug. Yeah, okay. He was, as I said, the staff liaison for the last decade. He retired over protest from the commissioners about his retiring. And he set the bar, I think, for the Environmental and Science Advisory Board. It used to just be the Environmental Advisory Board. And when we changed the name, Doug and I talked about that at that point in time, and he helped really understand that it's certainly a lot about environment, but it's also about the science as well. And that ESAB has become one of our go-to boards for dealing with some of the most pressing issues we deal, whether it be issues like Glade Reservoir or air quality. Those are the kinds of things we take to ESAB, and they give us a very good scientifically based understanding of the issues that we might be facing, and Doug was certainly a champion of that. So both within and without the county, Doug Ryan has been very highly recognized and respected. And so, Doug, congratulations on the award. And
thank you, Judy. Well, it's very, very nice to be here, and I want to echo what others have said about being humbled to be in the presence of all these great projects. For me, this award today says something about the value that the commissioners have placed on the Environmental and Science Advisory Board. You know, this board is a citizen board. It consists of 12 members. For several decades, I've served as, before I retired, I served as the staff facilitator for that board. And whether that board has been working on, for instance, comments to review important air quality regulations at the state level and to suggest that the commissioners support or recommend changes in those standards, whether they've commented on environmental impact statements on federal dam and reservoir projects. The Environmental and Science Advisory Board has worked really hard to maintain credibility and objectivity with Board of County Commissioners. And over the years, they've done that, and they've had a lot of impact. And I think this shows that citizens and citizen boards can work together with elected officials to produce good results. And so to the effect that I had anything to do with it as the staff facilitator, I appreciate that very much, and thank you so much.
so that's the last of our awards today. We want to thank you all for coming. We had some incredible submissions that were made. Thank you to our Environmental and Science Advisory Board members for the incredible job you do, and Shelley for being the new staff liaison and really working hard. Doug set a pretty high bar, but I know you've been working hard to keep up with that. Did you guys want to say anything?
No, I want you to have all the winners come up so we can take one big picture
Okay,
at the end.
so give me just a second, because I'm going to close the meeting and let the TV crew go home. But so I want to thank everybody, and this meeting is adjourned. So thank you, Justine. And then if you were a winner or you have a question, come on up. We're going to try and get a group picture. Thanks again, everyone.